So for Black Friday, I bought a ton of stuff from Victoria Beckham Beauty. It was the first time I was gonna be trying the brand. They have been on my list for forever. And I don't wanna say it, but I feel like some mistakes were made, okay? Like I do. I'm like, oh no. So it's taken me a while to get this video up, but today I'm gonna show you all the things I picked up when I bought this stuff. It was 20% off, which, you know, I used that 20% off to save some money for sure. I have quite a few of the lid Lustres. I have quite a few of the eyeliners. I have a blush, a lip gloss, and lip liner, and that's mostly it. I stuck to those things, but there was so much more I even wanted to try from the site, so I thought we could try it on. I'll do a look. I'm also gonna give you some swatches, give you my thoughts as I've been using this stuff, all of that jazz. Before I get into it though, I do want to talk a little bit about luxury makeup because this shit is expensive, okay? And there is an aspect of regret when it comes to price, but that also is because of the formulas in some ways not working for me, or there just being some unexpected things I didn't like. But I will say for luxury beauty, I will give it to the Victoria Beckham brand that their stuff is weighted and it does feel luxurious. I mean, my God, do I have to harp on and on? I feel bad at this point, but the Charlotte Tilbury highlighters that just came out, I think of Charlotte Tilbury as a luxury price pointed makeup. I think that that's kind of what they're going for, but a lot of the time when it comes to packaging and just certain things, that actually doesn't deliver, you know? Even though the products are expensive, it doesn't quite deliver. And I will say every single piece of makeup for the most part that I got from Victoria Beckham Beauty really did feel luxurious in the way that it's weighted, the details that are in the packaging, even the like box packaging itself, it's just thicker. You know, there's this attention to detail that I do feel like comes with that luxurious price tag, or I expect to come with the luxurious price tag. It has all those like kind of bells and whistles. So I really did like that, and it really did put into perspective the differences of some other more luxurious things. And yeah, I just want to mention that. And also the fact that when it comes to these luxury price pointed makeups, and maybe we'll do a video on that in the future at some point, but it's just expensive. Like, it's never not going to be expensive. They want to sell their products at that price. That's what they do. That's why it's luxury. Like, part of luxury is expensive, you know? So that's something I like almost have to get over a bit. Like, that is just the price. It's still just an eyeshadow. There's only so much money an eyeshadow, like, you know, can cost before it's just expensive to kind of be expensive. And so in those ways, I do feel like the packaging, which is a big part of a luxury experience, is here with Victoria Beckham. Okay, that being said, let's just get into some of the fucking shit. I'm gonna start off with the blush that I picked up. This is the Cheeky Posh Cream Blush Stick. It's quite small for a blush stick, but again, I do feel like the packaging is there. It has this kind of tortoiseshell look to it, and I think it's so pretty. But this is the color Mini Skirt. That's the one I picked up. So there is a swatch of it. Beautiful. I feel like it's almost a toasted berry. Like, there's a brown to this berry that adds a lot of neutrality to it, but it still has that kind of youthful pop. Really beautiful. There it is, blended out. Let's get it on the cheeks though. For sticks, I tend to put it on my brush, or I would put on my fingers. I don't normally apply cream blush with my fingers, but what I'll do is I'll take a brush and just rub it or run it or whatever. I get it onto the brush like this, so then I can apply it more evenly that way. Sometimes even if I want to make sure it's gonna go well, I might like tap it on my own hand to kind of disperse some product and then go in, and I just use stippling motions to get that on my face. I think the color's nice, the formula is nice, like this is a good product. I don't know if it's like a favorite of mine. It could just be the kind of contraption. I like a stick, don't get me wrong, like the Persona blushes, some of my favorites are in sticks, but I also really do like a pan cream blush. So there's that. I don't feel like this is overly dewy. It doesn't have any shimmer to it. I just feel like it's a solid product. These retail for $39, so definitely, again, that luxury price point. And I do think if there's a color you want, this is something you wanted to try out. Okay, we're getting a lot of color. Maybe I did too much. But I do think that this one's pretty good, and I've enjoyed it so far. I feel like it has pretty good lasting power. Like, it's just so solid, you know what I mean? No complaints or anything with this, and there are other shades as well. So when win on the Cheeky Posh cream blush. So that was awesome. And that was one I kind of just picked up like, okay, I should try a cream blush too. The real things I was so excited to try were the lid Lustres. These freaking lid Lustres, you know, little single potted eyeshadows. I was so excited for them. And then the eyeliners, I just love a good shimmery eyeliner, and there were some really pretty colors. So those are really the main star of the show. We're gonna zoom in a little bit. I feel like my foundation, once again, this is not looking good. More in the pores. I've been trying to use some different products in my pore area to kind of like not have as much texture, but then sometimes that just like clogs the pore. Like you can see the foundation specifically in the pore. Do you know what I'm talking about? I hate that. I hate it. Let's get into the lid Lustres. I picked up 5 of these babies, okay? Like I went in, like I said, they're a potted single shadow. They have like the stopper in here, which usually indicates that it's kind of this semi-loose pigment, like not quite pressed, not quite loose. But I do find that these are pretty pressed actually, like more pressed than I expect. They're not like moving around in there. It's almost like a single pressed eyeshadow in the pan. So this color here, I think is one of the newer ones. This one's called Velvet, and it's like this dirty antique gold. It has almost like a black base with a golden, but it kind of leans green shimmer going on. So that one's quite pretty. That's probably one of my favorites actually. One of the colors I was so excited for is the mink, and this is one of those like minky, taupey kind of gray shades. The tiniest bit of purple in there. And this has like a warmth that kind of comes out on the edges like when you shear it out, but that's like a full pigment swatch of it. These are also way more full pigment than I expected. That was something that was a little bit unexpected for me. I think I expected them to have a semi-sheerness about them, but I haven't found that to be the case. But here we are, as I say all that, chiffon. This is the one I probably dislike the most. It was so odd. This one actually does have a bit of a sheerness about it. It's very interesting. I felt like on my lids, it felt a little heavy almost, because like I said, these have almost like a thicker consistency than I expect almost. So there's chiffon. This next one's called Tea Rose, and this is like a rose gold type of color. Again, you can see like I'm really in there rubbing, but it is pretty pressed. So that is Tea Rose here, and it is like that rose gold, little coppery. It has some like gold flecks and sparkles throughout it. And last, this is the shade Honey, which is a nice golden bronze kind of color. It really does kind of fall in the middle, and I feel like this is one of the ones that also has a little bit more sheerness to it than I would say Mink does and Velvet does. So I have a lot of these, okay? And these suckers are like $38 a piece. I know the prices recently went up. Prices are going up like with every brand, I swear. So, and the swatches look beautiful here. You know, I feel like when I'm talking about me being disappointed or just kind of being underwhelmed, I think it definitely is what my expectations were, but also some of my preference styles. So it's not that these are like bad products, but just my preference is maybe a little bit different than what these are and what I thought they were gonna do for me. Plus there could be just like a lot of anticipation. Obviously, like I said, it's like a brand I've never tried before, so I was so hype, and this brand also does have hype, you know? But let's get it on our eyes. I am going to be just priming my eyelids really fast, and I'm going to be doing a full look. So I feel like some of these can be such a great single shadow look if that's what you want to do, although some of them do have, I think, a little bit more pigment, and so for a single shadow look, for me at least, on my skin tone, can be a little bit more intense than sometimes I want with a single shadow look. Usually there's an ease, and they're usually like a mid-tone at max for me, but I'm going back and forth between doing Mink and doing Tea Rose. I don't know what I want to do, so I'm just gonna start building up at least a crease. I kind of want to do something pinky. I don't know if it's the pink hair or what, but I have been enjoying that kind of look. So should I go into this? It's like all I've been using lately. Okay, I'm gonna initially go into this shade from the Lilas palette from Viseart. This is just like a purpley mauvey color, but still pretty light. I just want to work in a crease and kind of see where the look takes me a little bit, because I honestly feel like Tea Rose and Mink would look good with this kind of like pink color coming out. I feel like the Viseart shadows, not that this is about that, but they do what Natasha Denona shadows do, where they deepen up more than I expect on my eyes, but I find them to still be really easy to blend throughout that process. I think for the outer corner, I'm going to go in with this shadow. This is also from Viseart, but this is the Kashmiri palette, and that's just gonna add that little extra depth, but again, not really sure. I think I might go with mink. I feel like that's like the color I was most excited for, and I also feel like maybe other people might have, so maybe you could follow along to this. Like, I don't know, I think it's a popular one from the line. All right, we're gonna go in with mink. I'm just gonna use my finger. I think one of the things with mink that I was not expecting is how dark this actually is. You can shear it out, but again, it's like a little bit thicker, so it's not like a semi-sheer shadow that's like almost kind of meant to be sheared out. This I feel like looks best in its opacity. And so that kind of always makes it look at, you know, a darker look, a darker look, you know what I'm saying? Which isn't necessarily bad. I think it was just something I was not quite aware of. And until it's on my eye looking like this. So even if I try, look how much more sheer this is, it just doesn't look right because the way that the sparkle is also in so many of these, the sparkle in the lid lustres is kind of suspended in a different, still shimmery, but not sparkly base. And so I find that that really shows in a way that I don't like when I shear it out also. Like that's another issue when it's sheared. Whereas when something is more semi-sheer anyway, I feel like, or even more sparkly in texture, the formula is just not what I thought. You know, I thought I was gonna get something like the Moira ones or like other potted shadows I've used, and I do feel like it's almost like a regular pressed shadow just in a lid luster pot. Almost. And I think there's an element to these, like these are not new products. These have been out for a little bit. And so I kind of wonder if I got these when they first launched, how would I like them compared to now? You know what I'm saying? There's just so many other formulas on the market and just different trends for formulas as well. Like that's definitely a factor I think for me to consider as I try potentially brands that are a little bit older or products from brands that have been out a while. I don't know if that makes sense. Okay, so I'm blending it out. It's looking pretty good. Like it looks okay. Definitely smoky. Like I said, though, this is not an everyday look for me by any means. Like we are we are smoky. But also then, like I said, things like this, which could be a little bit more everyday, I feel like just didn't look good on my lids. Like it looked a little chunky. It looked a little like almost scaly, you know? It's just been interesting. Definitely interesting. And I feel like the mistake that I made, which I'm just kind of come to terms that this is what it's like. Plus, obviously, I have the channel. It's a kind of a different element that I think kind of works for me, but you know, I bought a lot of them at one time, whereas if I just bought one, I could kind of know my thoughts a little bit more and then go from there and, you know, maybe pick up some or don't pick up some later on, but I kind of went all in. Like I went all in with the brand. And sometimes when you do that, before you know what the formula is, just kind of hoping that you'll like it, sometimes you'll love it and it'll be a huge win, and other times, you know, if it's not a huge win, it might be the opposite. Like not good. Okay, I'm gonna leave this kind of smoky look here for a moment. I have a bunch of the liners. I wanna talk about those. I got 4 of the liners that are more of like the smudge tip. So one side has like this smudge tip, which I actually kind of like. It's a little bit annoying because it makes them really long, and there's 2 caps, which can make it confusing which side is which, even though the caps are technically different, and they are very creamy. This one here in this gray, this is the shade Ash, and this is cream, and it has no shimmer in it. Very, very pigmented, I will tell you that, and very creamy, like beyond creamy. The shade I really wanted to pick up for sure, this one is called Sea Gray. That is like a really pretty silver, and this one I picked up because of Michelle Wong. I don't know, I just specifically remember her being like, Sea Gray's back in stock, and me being like, I gotta get it. Yeah, I gotta get that. And then this one is Sequin Green. I think this might be one of the newer ones, and it does have, it's kind of similar to the Velvet Shadow in that it's like a black base with that antique-y, goldy green kind of shimmer running through it, but it does have a lot of depth because it's that black base instead of relying more on that colorful pigment. And then for another green, this one is called Olive. So those are the shades that I picked up, a really dark Hunter Forest green there. I do really like how creamy these are. My issue more with these is the packaging for some reason, although I understand that it is more luxurious and maybe for people with only a few liners, it'd be really great. I don't know what it is, and this is kind of irrational, but I don't really like the caps on any of the liners. They kind of bulge out in a weird way, and They go on kind of strange. I think they're creating some kind of seal, which is good because they are so creamy. I'm assuming that's so they don't dry out, which is good, but it's odd that they kind of like move around and feel like loose while they're not loose, like they are more airtight. I know it's weird. I just really, there's something about it I really hate actually. I'm so sorry to say that. I just don't like the caps on these. I really don't. I really don't like them. So anyway, let's add some of this liner. I'm gonna actually use the smudging because I already smudge my shadows. So I am only doing the tiniest bit. I'm telling you, for me and my looks and what I do not need a lot of this. And then I smudge that out. And then sometimes I'll smudge it just from that onto the top. You know, I think it's nice, but again, there's something about it that I'm like, I do just prefer my Urban Decay. Like I do. I think that's a really great, glidey, easy formula to use. I like the packaging a little bit better. They have amazing color selection. You can usually find them even on deals. So as much as these are fine, I'm not obsessed, you know? I'm really not. And sometimes I find with like really creamy yet really pigmented liners like these, it can be tough to work with them, again, because I don't necessarily always want a ton of pigment. And these like move around so much but still hold their pigment that I feel like I have to baby them a little. And that can be a little bit annoying instead of like when you're really just doing your makeup and it's not like the main focus of your day. It's like literally one step to the rest of your day. Sometimes that can be a little bit much. So there's ash on my eyes. We're getting dark and smoky today. Oh my gosh. I am using the other liner that I got. This is just like a cream color. It's definitely a different formula than these ones. It's a bit stiffer and it does go on the waterline fine, but again, just not for the prices. Let me give you prices on these exactly, what they're on the website up as right now. They're $30 a piece. And then you can have like an option to get a sharpener or not. I do like that they kind of give you the option of that. You can save a little bit of money, or if you need a sharpener, it's available to you. But I really think the sea gray one's my favorite one. I do think that's kind of unique. And if you have the Kaleidos one though, I really like that one. That one's like really brilliant and really fun. So I feel like the liners for me, just like, again, something's just off. Like I can't, it's hard to put my finger on why it's off. Like, I don't know. I'm gonna finish up the eyes. Let me put some mascara on. That always helps finish out a look. And then we'll do some lips. And I also have the tiniest amount of comparisons just to kind of give you an idea of what I expected more than anything. So let me get this on. All right, mascara's on. I did clean a little bit of fallout and we'll get closer up on the eyes in a second, but I want to finish the lips. I did pick up a lip liner, and this, if I had to say what my favorite item is, I think it would be the lip liner. I quite like the lip liner. I think it's really nice. Besides the cap issue, which is the same as the eyeliners, where you can hear that. It almost sounds like it's gonna come off, but it has that seal. There's just, I'm telling you, I don't know, it's irrational, I get it, but it's real to me. This is the lip liner in 02, and I like the formula a lot. I like that it's a pencil lip liner. I like the color. Like, this is solid to me. It has pigment. It's not like super waxy, but it's also not super dry. Like, it's just a good lip liner to me. I'm gonna fill in just a little. The lip definers retail for $28, and although that's expensive, like I feel like this is worth it. And that's one of those things that's like, it's just a luxury price point, but I do think that it's a nice freaking pencil. I like it a lot. The gloss I'm gonna be using is just the clear gloss. I wanna say that this was a free gift with purchase. I don't think I just picked out the clear lip gloss. I think somehow with whatever promo was going on, this was added, but man, for a clear lip gloss, packaging, like I'm saying, the luxury feel is here. This is freaking heavy. It's weighted. It's very nice. It feels like it was expensive. You know what I mean? Even if it's just a clear gloss, like it feels like it. And I quite like the gloss. Like I think it's a nice clear gloss. You can get glosses at different price points that are good, that are clear, but I do think this one's pretty solid as well if you're wanting to try it. It's gonna get pretty gnarly in here though. There's no flavor or anything to the gloss. It's like not overly thick, not overly thin. Just, again, solid. Solid, and I feel like that they didn't skip on the packaging really is what seals the deal, you know? I like that. So the lip products are good. Haven't tried any of the colorful lip glosses, but those I would be willing to maybe swatch, try out if I found a color I liked. So this is the look. Okay, I'm gonna zoom us into the eyes. If the foundation looks bad, don't mind it. It's pretty smoky, right? And I feel like sometimes on camera, my smoky looks can look a little less smoky, like they look lighter on camera than they do in person. But this to me is a little bit smoky for every day. I did add a little bit of highlighter, just the Charlotte Tilbury one, on my brow bone and inner corner. And I did have a little bit of fallout, so I just added a little bit of concealer. And it's not that the look is bad. I just don't like, I'm not obsessed with it, you know what I mean? I'm not like in love. The sparkle's there, it looks sultry, like I think it's nice. I don't have the spark that I thought I would have. You know what I'm saying? Like I really didn't. But let me zoom you out. Here is the look all zoomed out. I think, again, it's not that it's not pretty. It's not that the products are like just horrendous or horrible. It's just preference wise, like all these things, it's just not quite clicking in the way that I thought it would. That all being said, I feel like the products that I do like, the lip liner, even the lip gloss, and also the blush stick, those are the solid products to me. The products that if you're gonna try something from the brand, they're more what I would say. When it comes to the lid lustres and the eyeliners, I think that there's a possibility you could really like them. But I would suggest with these specifically, or maybe even something I wish I did, is just buy one, maybe two, in colors that you think will suit you best or that will be your favorite colors out of the line. See how you like the formula from those and then go from there, instead of just going all in without knowing it. Whereas there are other things that I love so much that I would just be like, they're really good. Like I would stand behind them. This isn't quite like that. But I thought I would leave it off with just a little bit of a demo or a show. So this is that mink shade. This is what's all over my lids. I'm gonna swatch it on my wrist. So here it is, really pretty. It does pick up the light. It looks really great, but because it's so thick, it is hard to really sheer it out in that way on your little tiny baby lids. You know, it's not that much space to get in there and really make stuff happen. And like I said, I do find like on my lids, the way the shimmers and everything shears out isn't really my favorite. I thought I would compare that though to two similar-ish shadows from different brands. So this is from Charlotte Tilbury. This is the Hypnotizing Pop Shot that came out for holiday in the shade Smoky Quartz. I feel like this is in a similar realm, but I really like this. And this is an expensive ass single shadow. I like the little packaging on this. I actually feel like they did a good job with packaging. But you'll see in the swatches, that second swatch is the Charlotte Tilbury, and it does have a sheerness to it. It's not quite as dark, and so that makes it just a little more wearable. I also just like the way the shimmer is in that one. And then the other shadow that's on there, this is from Moira, and this is way cheaper. This is $8, okay? And this also has that kind of taupey thing going on, maybe a little more purple, a little more silver even. So these are not color dupes, or I'm not even talking about dupes. I'm just talking about maybe shadows that I like a little bit more and trying to show you the difference in swatch, if that can help give you an insight as to what I've talked about throughout this video. With the Moira shadow, where there's a really big difference, is there's a lot more individual shimmer particles kind of going on, making it really brilliant, really shiny, really festive almost. And I did think I was gonna get a little bit more of that from the Victoria Beckham shadows. Like I thought the sparkle was gonna be more similar to that than it is. It's almost more of like a full metallic, you know? I'm actually gonna swatch one more shadow. Let me grab it. Okay, I grabbed Wet Pebble. This is from Half Magic Beauty. This is more similar in some ways to the finish of the Victoria Beckham. It doesn't have the shimmer particles in it. It's more of like a foil, but it's very solid, more opaque, and it's intended to be used that way. It doesn't look as good sheared out. Like you kind of want it to have that full opacity. So I don't know if those swatches were helpful at all. I kind of hope that they give you an idea of what I'm talking about with texture. Overall, obviously I'm glad I tried. Like I've always wanted to know, I've wanted to try Victoria Beckham for a long time, but the lid lusters don't do it. They just don't do it for me. They don't. I think there's things at the same price point I like more. There's things at lower price point I like way more. So yeah, that was just like an interesting conclusion I came to, unfortunately, after I bought 5 of them. But I hope you guys enjoyed. I'd love to know any of your thoughts. Do you have any tips on how I might like to use these in different ways, or anything, any of your opinions on it? I'd love to know down below. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you're doing great, and I will see you in the next video. Bye guys.